If you're watching this video now, it's because you've reached that point. That silent yet deafening moment when something inside you screams, it's not a cry of despair. It's worse. It's a cry of clarity. That moment when you finally understand nobody is coming. Your father won't save you. Your mother won't solve this for you. Your partner can't complete you. Your boss won't recognize your worth. Your friends can't carry this burden with you. The government won't fix your life. The universe isn't conspiring in your favor. And God, if he exists, won't descend from heaven to make the choices only you can make. No one is coming to save you. And you know what's most brutal? You always knew. You just spent years pretending you didn't. Sartre, the existentialist philosopher, said something that most people never forgive. Man is condemned to be free. Condemned. Not blessed. Convicted. Because with total freedom comes total responsibility. And total responsibility is terrifying. It's easier to believe that someone will save you, that someone will give you the answer, that someone will show up and solve everything. Your parents taught you this as a child. If you're good, if you behave, if you follow the rules, everything will be all right. The school reinforced the message. If you get good grades, you'll get a good job. Society concluded, if you work hard, you will be rewarded. All lies. Not malicious lies, lies of comfort, lies to keep you docile, to keep you waiting. And you waited. Years, decades maybe. You waited for someone to recognize your worth. You waited for someone to give you a chance. You waited for things to get better on their own. You waited for love to complete you. You waited for success to fill you. And nobody came. This video isn't going to give you cheap hope. It's not going to tell you that everything will be all right. It's not going to offer you a magic 5-step formula for happiness. This video will do something far more valuable. It will show you that you don't need to be saved. Over the next few minutes, we'll delve into the brutal philosophy of thinkers who understood the most liberating and terrifying truth of human existence. You are alone. Completely alone. And that's not a tragedy. It's emancipation. Let's explore Sartre, Nietzsche, Jung, the Stoics, philosophers who gazed into the abyss of total personal responsibility and said, "Good, now I am free." Because the truth is this: the moment you realize that no one is coming to save you is the moment you finally can start saving yourself. Waiting is a form of slow suicide. You're not living, you're waiting to start living. Waiting for a promotion, waiting for the right relationship, waiting to lose weight, waiting to have money, waiting for the perfect conditions. Waiting is death disguised as prudence. Heidegger, one of the greatest philosophers of the 20th century, had a devastating concept: being towards death. The idea that from the moment you were born, you are dying. Every second that passes is a second less, and you don't know how many seconds you have left. But most people live as if they were immortal, as if there were infinite time, as if they could postpone things indefinitely. I'll do it when. I'll change when. I'll start when. Each when is a small death, a surrender, a decision not to live now. And why? Because you're waiting for permission, waiting for someone to tell you now you can. No one will give you that permission because no one can. In Greek mythology, there is the story of Prometheus, the Titan who stole fire from the gods to give to humans. Zeus, furious, chained him to a rock where an eagle ate his liver every day. And since Prometheus was immortal, his liver regenerated every night. Eternal torture. But here's the detail that nobody notices. Prometheus held the key. Hercules eventually freed him, but philosophically, Prometheus always had the power to free himself. He chose to remain chained because he believed he deserved the punishment. You are Prometheus, and the chain is not real. Think about how many people you know who have been waiting for the right moment for years. Waiting to file for divorce, waiting to quit their job, waiting to start that project, waiting to have that difficult conversation. And while they wait, the years go by. Hair turns gray. Opportunities evaporate. Life slips through their fingers. One day they wake up at 50, 60, 70 years old and realize they spent their entire lives waiting for permission to live. Tactic 1. The mortality test. Imagine you have exactly 5 years to live. Not 50, not 20, 5 years. What are you still waiting to do? Nothing, right? You would act immediately. Now for the brutal truth. You don't know if you have 5 years. You might have less. Act as if you know. Tactic 2. The no permission rule. Make the most important decision you've been putting off, the one you've been waiting for the right moment to make. Now answer, who needs to give you permission? Your boss? Your family? Society? Wrong. You're expecting it from yourself. So give it. Now. Without ceremony. Without perfect preparation. Give yourself permission to live.
Total responsibility. You are the only one responsible, and that is liberating. Sartre said, "We are condemned to be free, because once thrown into the world, we are responsible for everything we do. Every choice is yours. Every outcome is a consequence of your actions or inactions. Every circumstance is influenced by how you respond. There are no excuses. There are no victims. There are no saviors." Why is this so hard to accept? Because blaming others is comfortable. If it's your toxic boss's fault, you don't need to change jobs. If it's your parents' fault, you don't need therapy. If it's the economy's fault, you don't need to start a business.
If this content is making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support.
Genetics' fault, you don't need to try harder. To blame is to outsource power. It's to say, I don't control my life. And do you know what happens when you outsource power? You outsource your life. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago. Epictetus, who was a slave, said, "It is not the events themselves that disturb people, but their perception of the events." He was a slave, literally without physical freedom. And yet, he understood that he had complete freedom over his response. If a slave could be free, what is your excuse? Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist, survived Auschwitz, the Nazi concentration camp. There he lost everything: family, freedom, dignity, future. He was literally surrounded by death. And it was in that hell that he discovered the most powerful truth about human existence. Everything can be taken from a man except one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. If a man in Auschwitz could choose his attitude, you can choose your response to the annoying boss, the difficult relationship, the empty bank account. You always have a choice. Observe the people around you. Divide them into two groups. Group 1, this happened to me. I had no choice. It's X's fault. Group 2. I chose this. I can change this. What do I do now? Which group is more powerful? Which group truly changes its circumstances? The answer is obvious. And now the question is, which group are you in? Tactic 1. The exercise of total ownership. Pick the area of your life where you most often blame external factors. Relationships, finances, career. Now complete this sentence. I am 100% responsible for the situation because the choices I made were. It doesn't matter if it seems unfair. It doesn't matter if other people contributed. You are the only one in control. Take full ownership. Tactic 2. The what now rule. Every time you find yourself blaming something or someone, stop and ask yourself, okay, so what now? What do I do about it? This question eliminates victimhood because it forces action.
You've been waiting for is you. Jung said, no one can make you happy. No one can make you unhappy. Only you can do that. You spent years searching for the great love that would complete you, the mentor who would guide you, the job that would fulfill you, the achievement that would validate you. And none of them worked, because you were looking outside for what can only be found inside. Why do we want to be saved so badly? Because being saved means we don't have to do the work, that we don't have to face our demons, that we can continue sleeping. Jung called this projection, to place on other people or circumstances what can only be resolved internally. You project the responsibility for your happiness onto your partner. You project the solution to your emptiness onto money. You project the validation you don't give yourself onto external recognition. And then you get frustrated when they inevitably fail, not because they are inadequate, but because you asked them to do the impossible. Nietzsche understood this profoundly. You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it doesn't exist. Nobody can save you because no one knows your way. In Buddhism, there is the story of the Buddha and the disciple who asked, "Master, how do I attain enlightenment?" The Buddha replied, "Be your own lamp." Not, "Follow me," not, "I will teach you," but, "You are your own light." The disciple was confused. "But I came to you to be guided." And the Buddha said, "I can show you the path, but I cannot walk it for you. If I could give you enlightenment, I would. But then it wouldn't be your enlightenment. It would be mine." Think about the people you know who go from guru to guru, from book to book, from therapy to therapy, always searching for the answer. They don't get better. Why? Because they are outsourcing self-knowledge. They are waiting for someone to tell them who they are and what they should do. But self-knowledge, by definition, cannot be outsourced. Do you want to be saved? Save yourself. Tactic 1. The self-rescue letter. Write a letter to yourself as if you were your own savior. Dear, your name. I've come to rescue you, but not in the way you expected. I'm not going to solve your problems. I'm going to show you that you've always had the power to solve them. I'm going to show you that. Complete the letter and then read it. Tactic 2. The dependency inventory. List all the things or people from whom you are hoping for salvation, like when I find the right person, or when I have X amount of money, or when my parents support me. Now, next to each item, write, what if that never happens? How do I survive without it? That's your answer.
Is where you find your true strength. You're afraid of being alone. Why? Because in solitude there are no distractions. There's nowhere to run. You're face to face with yourself, and you don't like what you see. But here's the truth. You can only truly know yourself in solitude. Nietzsche spent years ill and isolated in the Swiss mountains. It was there, in absolute solitude, that he wrote Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Why? Because in solitude, you're not performing. You're not trying to impress. You're not wearing masks. In solitude, you are forced to be real. Society has taught you to fear loneliness. It has bombarded you with messages that you need other people to be complete, that being alone is a failure. But the wise know, loneliness is not the absence of others, it is the presence of oneself. All the great prophets, sages, and spiritual leaders have one thing in common. They spent significant time alone. Jesus, 40 days in the desert. Buddha, years meditating alone. Moses, decades in the desert before leading his people. Muhammad, isolation in a cave before revelation. It's no coincidence. It's a prerequisite. You cannot lead others without first leading yourself. And you cannot lead yourself without knowing yourself. And you cannot know yourself without solitude. Why do you think people get scared when a relationship ends? It's not just the loss of the person, it's the terror of being alone with yourself. Why do people fill every second with podcasts, music, TV, and social media? Because silence is terrifying. Because in the absence of external noise, internal noise becomes unbearable. But it is precisely in that inner noise that everything you need to hear resides. The arsenal, practical application. Tactic 1, the forced retreat. Take 24 hours completely alone. No cell phone, no internet, no books, no TV. Just you and your thoughts. In the first few hours, you'll feel anxious, then boredom, then agitation. If you can endure it, something magical happens. You start to hear your own voice again. Tactic 2, the mirror question. Look at yourself in the mirror for 5 minutes, without breaking eye contact, without judging, without running away. Just observe and ask, who are you when nobody's watching? When there's nobody to impress? When you're just you? The answer will scare you and set you free. Of the new self. If you've made it this far, something has changed. You started this video hoping for salvation, hoping someone would give you the answer. But now you're starting to understand. You are the answer. Up until now, we've dismantled the illusion. Now let's build the reality. Because it's one thing to understand that no one is going to save you. It's quite another to know how to save yourself. The next laws are more practical, more radical, more demanding. These are the tools for those who have decided they are no longer going to wait. For those who have decided to take the reins of their own lives, even without a map, even without guarantees, even without saviors. It's time to build. The ego. You need to kill who you were to become who you can be. The reason you don't change isn't a lack of knowledge. It's not a lack of resources. It's not a lack of opportunities. It's because you are attached to the current version of yourself. And this version needs to die. Jung called this death of the ego. Every true transformation requires sacrifice, not of external things, but of your identity. You are not your job. You are not your achievements. You are not your status. You are not even your thoughts. But you've invested so much time building that identity that letting it go feels literally like dying. Nietzsche understood you need to have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. Chaos is not the problem. It's the process. In Egyptian mythology, there is the god Osiris, murdered and dismembered into 14 pieces scattered throughout Egypt. His wife Isis gathered the pieces and resurrected him. But he did not return as he was before. He became the god of the underworld, more powerful, wiser, transformed by death. The message is clear. You need to be disassembled before you can be rebuilt. Your old beliefs need to die. Your old patterns need to be broken. Your old identity needs to be sacrificed. Only then can you be reborn. Do you know anyone who went through a devastating crisis and came out completely different? A divorced person who became an entrepreneur, an executive who quit everything and became an artist, a straight-laced person who finally allowed themselves to be authentic. What happened? Their old version died, and they made a choice. Rebuild the same thing with more fear, or build something new with more truth. Tactic 1. The symbolic funeral. Write a farewell letter to the dying version of yourself. Thank them for what they did, acknowledge what they accomplished, and then burn the letter. Ritualize death, because transformation without ritual is just theory. Tactic 2. The sacrifice list. What do you need to sacrifice to transform yourself? What behaviors? What relationships? What beliefs? What identity? Write everything down. Then ask, am I willing to pay that price? If not, you're not ready, and that's okay. But if so, start now.
As the forge. Meaningless suffering destroys, but suffering with purpose forges. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz and discovered something revolutionary. It wasn't suffering that destroyed people. It was the lack of meaning. Those who survived were not the strongest physically. They were the ones who found a why to continue. You will suffer. This is non-negotiable. The question is, will your suffering destroy you or forge you? Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can endure almost any how." The difference between collapse and transformation is not the intensity of suffering. It is the narrative you tell about it. Two people go through the same crisis. One says, "Why is this happening to me? Life is unfair." The other says, "What is this teaching me? Who will I become through this?" Same pain, opposite destinies. In Greek myths, Hercules had to complete 12 impossible labors, not because the gods loved him, but because he had committed a crime in a state of madness. Each task was more brutal than the last, killing the Hydra, capturing the boar, descending into the underworld. In the end, Hercules was no longer the same. He had become something beyond human, not despite the suffering, through suffering. Every truly successful person, not Instagram success, but success based on integrity, has a story of suffering transformed. The businessman who went bankrupt before building his empire, the artist who spent years in obscurity, the wise man who overcame depression before finding clarity.
They couldn't prevent the fire, they used fire. Tactic 1. The heroic reframing. Rewrite your crisis as the first chapter of a hero's journey. Not "I'm at rock bottom," but "I'm going through a trial that will transform me." It's not toxic positivity, it's intentional recontextualization. Tactic 2. The legacy question. 10 years from now, when I look back on this moment, what story do I want to be able to tell? Do you want to say you gave up? That you became bitter? Or do you want to say, "That's where everything changed. That's where I became who I truly am"? You decide. Now.
Action beats perfect preparation. You know what you need to do. You always have. But you're waiting to be ready, to be prepared, to be perfect. You'll never be. And while you wait, life goes by. The Stoics had a powerful concept, amor fati, love your fate. It didn't mean accepting passively. It meant acting with what you have, where you are. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote, "Don't wait for the perfect occasion. It will never come." Why? Because endless preparation is a sophisticated form of procrastination. It's fear disguised as prudence. The brutal truth: you learn by doing, not by preparing to do. In the Analects, Confucius recounts a story about a novice archer who asks his master, "When will I be ready to compete?" The master replies, "Shoot 1,000 arrows, then ask me again." The student protests, "But I need to perfect my technique first." And the master says, "Shoot 1,000 arrows. Your technique will improve in the process." How many people do you know who have been preparing for years? Getting ready to start a business, getting ready to take that course, getting ready to have that conversation, getting ready to change their life. And while they prepare, nothing changes. Why? Because preparation without action is fantasy. Tactic 1. The 20-second rule. Identify the most important action you're putting off. Give yourself 20 seconds of courage, just 20 seconds, to start. Send the message. Make the call. Make the decision. Take the first step. 20 seconds can change everything. Tactic 2. The principle of least viable action. What is the smallest action you can take today that will move you in the right direction? It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be real. An email, a phone call, a paragraph, 10 minutes. Do it now. And final liberation. You will die, and that changes everything. Here is the only absolute certainty in your life. You're going to die. You don't know when, you don't know how, but you know it will happen. And you're living as if you were immortal. The Stoics practiced something called memento mori. Remember that you are going to die. It wasn't morbid. It was liberating. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." When you truly internalize your mortality, something fascinating happens. You stop wasting time on what doesn't matter. Petty arguments disappear. Trivial worries evaporate. The need to impress dissolves. What remains? What really matters. Before his execution, Socrates had a chance to escape. His friends had bribed the guards. Everything was ready. He refused. Why? Because he understood it's not how long you live, it's how you live. He preferred to die with integrity than to live as a fugitive. His death was not a tragedy.
It was final coherence. Do you know anyone who received a terminal diagnosis and changed completely? Suddenly, they stop caring about other people's opinions. They finally have those difficult conversations. They do what they've always wanted to do. Why did they wait until they were dying to start living? And you, how long are you going to wait? Tactic 1. The deathbed exercise. Close your eyes. Imagine you are on your deathbed. You have 5 minutes to look back. What will you regret not having done? What will you regret not having said? Who will you regret not having been? Write it down. Then live so that you don't have those regrets. Tactic 2. The Stoic mantra. Every morning, before starting your day, say to yourself, I could die today, and that's why today matters. I'm not going to waste this day on what doesn't matter. I'm not going to postpone what does. It's not pessimism. It's conscious urgency.
If you've made it this far, something fundamental has changed within you. You started this video hoping someone would save you, but now you understand nobody's coming. And that's a good thing. Because when you realize that no one is going to save you, you finally give yourself permission to save yourself. When you realize that no one is going to give you the answer, you finally begin to search for your own truth. When you realize that no one is going to live your life for you, you finally begin to live. Sartre was right. You are condemned to be free, condemned to choose, condemned to be responsible. But here's the secret he didn't explicitly say. This condemnation is the greatest blessing you could receive, because it means you are not a victim of fate. You are the architect of your life. Nietzsche, Jung, the Stoics, they all went through the same moment of brutal clarity that you are experiencing now. The moment you realize nobody is coming. And then they made the bravest choice a human being can make. They decided to come on their own. You didn't find this video by chance. You are ready. You always have been. You just needed permission. So here it is. You have permission from yourself for yourself. Permission to stop waiting. Permission to take full responsibility. Permission to become your own savior. Permission to live the life only you can live. No one is coming to save you, and you don't need it anymore. Now, it's going to happen.